The Duel of Fates is one of the most important duels in all of Star Wars lore, determining the fate of one Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One. Who will train the boy? Will it be Qui-Gon Jinn, his father figure? Will he learn balance and to trust in the Force? Will Maul slay both of them and ultimately take the boy? Or will Kenobi be the one left standing, more of a brother figure than the father that Anakin desperately needed? What will happen to Anakin Skywalker? The duel here is exceptionally interesting, mostly from the perspective of Darth Maul, who is by far the superior combatant to both Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. However, over the course of several novels, we learn the true insight into what Maul is thinking, how he believes Qui-Gon Jinn to be his first worthy opponent, and how over the course of just 2 engagements, Qui-Gon Jinn earns the utter respect of Darth Maul, being a more powerful Jedi than he ever anticipated. In fact, more powerful than Maul anticipated any Jedi could become. So today, in this holocron, my friends, we are going to be looking over 3 Star Wars novels, the Journals of Darth Maul, the novelization for The Phantom Menace, as well as The Wrath of Darth Maul, in which we'll discuss how Qui-Gon Jinn did what was thought to be impossible, earn Maul's respect, as well as an explanation for why Obi-Wan said Maul defeated him so quickly in the reactor room. So my friends, let us begin and discuss the interesting relationship that forms between Qui-Gon Jinn and Maul without any words ever being uttered. One of Qui-Gon Jinn's primary motives was to prove that he was better than the Jedi. This is something that Maul in his heart always believed, but he was still desperate to prove this. In fact, his master Lord Sidious had held Maul back from confronting Jedi until he was more than a decade into his training as a Sith assassin. This essentially turned Maul into a hungry, rabid dog. And to him, it meant more to kill a Jedi than perhaps it has meant to any Sith Lord before. Sidious has always belittled Maul, stating that the Jedi, if he does not train well enough, will be superior. But Sidious also promises Maul great power, and that if he follows his path, he will be able to crush the Jedi before him like they are nothing. To Maul, he views the Jedi as the saviors that never came for him, as he was being tortured and belittled by those around him, including his own master. Love and compassion were beaten out of Maul, and the promise that the Jedi were out there somewhere in the wider galaxy saving innocents became a twisted, cruel lie to the young Maul. Maul resolved to show the trueness of what it meant to be a Jedi. Not only would they not come to save the innocents, but he was a superior fighter to them in every single way. They did not know the power of the dark side and the power of suffering like he had learned. It was now his second nature. Maul would encounter some Jedi in both canon and legends before he met Qui-Gon Jinn on Tatooine, and in the end, he would be triumphant against every single one of them. After killing several Jedi, he would learn that they were indeed skilled warriors, but his superior skill and training would ring through. Maul in every way was more powerful than any Jedi that he faced, and this would be unquestionable until he faced off against Qui-Gon Jinn on Tatooine. This is what the Journal of Darth Maul says. The Jedi meets my first blow, blocking it. He has expected my flying maneuver. If an opponent can read you, the fight is over. I don't like that the Jedi was perfectly prepared for my first blow. Within seconds, I throw away my usual combinations and strategies. This Jedi seems to know how I will move before I do, but he cannot match my strength. I sense this, and I feel his surprise at this. Yet, he does not let his puzzlement slow him down. I tell myself that this man has never met an enemy like me before, and that it frightens him. The Jedi's fear is justified as he prepares to die. I accelerate my pace, calling on my anger to increase my power. My footwork has never been so brilliant. I use the shifting sand as resistance. My lightness and quickness will defeat this man with his large body, his heavy movements. But he is graceful. This Jedi is. The sand does not seem to hamper him. He is never off balance, no matter where or how I strike. Our blows send shudders through my body. He meets my strength. Our lightsabers clash and sizzle. Dust and sand rise around us. I never lose my rhythm though. I hold strong. The Jedi calls to the boy, tells him to go back to the ship. The cowardly boy runs off by this command. After I defeat my enemy, I will find this second Jedi, but I must confess that this Jedi is a challenge. If I leap, he is with me. If I turn, he will follow me. He meets my ferocity with his own. A Jedi should not do this. His lightsaber swirls and hums, and several times, his lightsaber ventures closer than I like. It is because of my wound. It has slowed me down somewhat. It is almost imperceptible, but it is there. The Jedi has an advantage. I am not at my best. This realization sends more rage pumping into my body. I am angry at myself, but I use the anger to fuel the dark side. I feel the force come from the Jedi as I send it back towards him, showing him that I too have a connection, and that it is stronger than his. I launch a furious counterattack. I feel like the Jedi is beginning to tire, and triumph rises like a red mist before my very eyes. I gain the advantage. I am now winning. I will defeat this Jedi. I have been surprised at his skill, but now I am confident in my victory. I will savor each moment of this battle. Even through his fatigue though, this Jedi's blows have power behind them. He is a large man with impressive strength. He will fall heavily, like a monument to my power. I feel a savage pleasure course through me. His weakness feeds my power. I drive him back, spin around when he parries my blow. I drive him back again. The dust chokes my throat, but I do not notice. Although this brief engagement is obviously far less notable than the Duel of Fates, it is still hugely impactful on Maul and his opinion on Qui-Gon Jinn. We get an in-depth look at the Sith assassin's thought process, as he literally goes through his own arc within his own mind. He at first believes that just like all the other Jedi, Qui-Gon Jinn is no match for him, and then suddenly, his worst fears come to life. Every single blow that Qui-Gon levies against the Sith assassin, he feels course through his body. Qui-Gon Jinn is physically stronger than any other Jedi that Maul has ever faced. And more than this, he's quick and supremely balanced. Maul believes that he will be able to unbalance the Jedi with the sand, but he is shocked at how gracefully Qui-Gon Jinn moves, and how composed the Jedi Master truly is. Maul has viewed himself as superior to every single opponent he has ever faced, but for the first time, this comes into question. It is only towards the tail end of the duel, where Maul senses that Qui-Gon Jinn begins to tire, that he pushes this advantage, an advantage which will come to play on Naboo. However, in the Duel of Fates, Qui-Gon Jinn again shocks Darth Maul. In the Wrath of Darth Maul Legends novel, we learn that Darth Maul feels far more in control on the Duel of Naboo than he did on Tatooine. He is now expecting the power that Qui-Gon Jinn will bring to bear, and he is more reserved. He allows both Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to push the offensive, believing that Maul pushing the offensive before is what bolstered Qui-Gon Jinn, able to counter him and meet his strikes with an equal amount of strength. He realizes that Qui-Gon Jinn is an offensive powerhouse, Ataru, the way of the Hawkbat, one of the most physically demanding and aggressive lightsaber forms that have ever been invented. Maul realizes that he will not be able to beat Qui-Gon Jinn off of offensive might alone, as the Jedi himself is a master of offense in hopes of bringing a swift end to engagements. His Padawan Kenobi is a mere afterthought. In fact, at several points during the novel and in the engagement, Maul hopes that Obi-Wan does not actually die from falling off of the walkway, as he wants to impale the Jedi and murder him directly with the blade as a show of superiority. However, his entire focus is on Qui-Gon Jinn, and Qui-Gon plays directly into what Maul is expecting. Maul is on the back foot. He's letting Qui-Gon tire himself out, and yet, he's astonished with how much better the Jedi Master is performing in this duel. But there is another aspect of the way that Qui-Gon is fighting that enrages Maul to his very core. He reaches out through the Force to sense what the Jedi Master is feeling, and perhaps even get a glimpse into his mind. Maul is fascinated with the power that Qui-Gon wields, and yet, how composed he is when he senses that Qui-Gon Jinn is not using any malice or hatred to duel Darth Maul. His entire identity of what it means to be an offensive fighter is questioned. How could someone as skilled as Qui-Gon Jinn fight so ferociously without anger or hatred in his heart? This infuriates Darth Maul, as it questions the very superiority of the light side itself. But Maul's anger will only increase when they get to the laser partitions. His plan is working masterfully, and yet, the Jedi Master seems to contradict everything that Darth Maul has learned about the dark side. As they are separated between the barrier of the walls, Qui-Gon Jinn deactivates his lightsaber, and Maul views this as massively disrespectful. But what Qui-Gon Jinn is about to do is even more so, and will fill Maul with a rage that he has never experienced before. Qui-Gon Jinn sits and begins to meditate. Maul's anger comes to the boiling point. He even strikes his lightsaber against the laser wall in an attempt to disrupt the focus of Qui-Gon, but it does not work. The Jedi Master is centering himself. He is resting. It appears as if to him, Darth Maul is inconsequential. He is an enemy, but he does not hate him, and he takes this moment to completely compose himself. Darth Maul senses an eerie calm in Qui-Gon Jinn, a complete trust in the Force. This enrages him, as it means that no matter how hard Darth Maul has tried to disrupt this peace, he has not been successful against Qui-Gon, and yet he still proves himself to be a dangerous fighter. Maul has literally fed off of the anger, hatred, and fear that the other Jedi that he had faced has put out during their duel. It bolsters his own skill, gives him faith that the Sith and the dark side will triumph no matter what. It speaks to his superiority to the Jedi. But now, with his greatest adversary in front of him, he senses that the Jedi feels nothing for Maul. No hatred, no anger, no pain. Maul has had no impact on the Jedi's connection to the Force and his mental state. In contrast though, he senses Kenobi farther away. The young Padawan is hesitant, he is fearful, and he senses that his master is tiring. Darth Maul smiles. This is where he will draw his power to butcher the Jedi Master in front of his young student. The young Padawan's fear has been left uncontrolled, and Maul will capitalize on it. As the blast doors open, the duel reignites, and Maul's plan falls perfectly into place. He has led Qui-Gon Jinn to an area where he is not only separated from his Jedi Padawan, but the reactor shaft has left avenues for attack more difficult. He has led Qui-Gon Jinn into a more confined space in an attempt to limit Ataru, to limit Qui-Gon's offensive capabilities. This, in truth, being a trick, is a massive sign of respect to Qui-Gon Jinn and the power that he wields. Unfortunately, we have only seen Qui-Gon Jinn engage in a few lightsaber duels, and because of this, his showings as a duelist are limited. But make no mistake, at the time, Qui-Gon Jinn was only second to Grandmaster Yoda in terms of skill with the Taru, and Darth Maul is not willing to meet him head-on, skill to skill. He first has to approach the duel more intelligently. He has to tire Qui-Gon Jinn out. But then, he does something even more shocking. He strikes the Jedi in the face with the hilt of his lightsaber. To quote, "Maul usually disdained such blunt maneuvers. He was an elegant fighter, precise, beautiful. But when he saw his openings, no doubt he remembered the lesson from Sidious. Exploit any opening that the Jedi will give you." Although he is ashamed of the way that Qui-Gon Jinn will die here, Maul is unwilling to test him blade to blade for too long. Even though the Jedi Master is tiring, he has nothing but respect for Qui-Gon Jinn's offensive output. As Maul learned on Tatooine, he sees that Qui-Gon Jinn is a near equal, if not superior to him when he is fresh, thus marking the end of the competition between Qui-Gon and Maul. But now he must face the Padawan. As Kenobi storms through the blast doors, he is filled with anger and hatred. Maul notes that Obi-Wan is so much weaker than Qui-Gon Jinn. As they meet blow for blow, the novelization for The Wrath of Darth Maul quotes that Kenobi, although being slightly faster than his master, is not nearly as powerful. Maul is pleased. Perhaps he will finally get to best a Jedi on pure skill alone. No tricks. It is then when Kenobi brings up his lightsaber exceptionally fast and cuts Maul's hilt in two. Maul is caught off guard as he quickly falls to the floor, but then recenters himself in the dark side. The rest of the duel is swift, as Maul manages to kick Kenobi into the reactor shaft. Reveling in his victory and his arrogance, it is his hesitation that ultimately allows Obi-Wan to center himself, abandon his anger and his hatred for Maul as Qui-Gon Jinn had, and this is what allows Kenobi to bisect Maul, ending the duel. After the fact, Kenobi would talk about why Maul was able to so easily best him. He states, "The Sith used my anger against me. He actually fed off of my fury, gaining strength as I exhausted my own. I lost my lightsaber, and then he had me." What's beautiful about this is the lasting lesson that this imprints upon Obi-Wan. Every other time that Obi-Wan and Maul would fight after this, when Obi-Wan is angry and filled with fury over the death of Qui-Gon, Maul is able to best him, even easily best him. But after Kenobi learns from the mistake of Qui-Gon and conserves his energy with Surisu, he approaches the duel from a calm point of view. He does not hate Darth Maul any longer. In fact, he has forgiven him entirely. He may dislike him, but he cannot approach his duels with him from a sense of anger and hatred, or he will lose. He in fact did the same thing against his own former apprentice in Anakin, in a sense, separating Anakin from Darth Vader and the deeds of Vader. It was this shift in mindset that Darth Sidious stated was one of the major contributing factors why Kenobi would triumph over Anakin. Anakin fought purely based off of emotion, and Kenobi separated his emotion from the deed entirely. The same lesson that Qui-Gon Jinn used against Darth Maul, the same one that would eventually earn the respect of Maul, and the same way that a true Jedi Master would participate in a duel with a dark side wielder, without hatred, fear, and yet completely centered in the Force. It was because of this state of mind, Qui-Gon Jinn unwilling to bend or break before Darth Maul, and yet still how incredibly powerful and effective the Jedi Master was against him, that he was the first Jedi to earn the respect of Maul, and why the Sith Assassin took him so seriously in the course of their two duels. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this duel between Qui-Gon Jinn and Maul in the Duel of Fates? How do you feel about Darth Maul's constantly changing point of view when concerning the Jedi Master, and how, in the end, he earned his total respect, even to the point of being ashamed on how he struck him down in the end, believing that the Jedi Master deserved better? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting the channel and the archives today. If you enjoyed these longer videos, be sure to reach out and hit that subscribe button, and we'll be sure to try to make more, and may the Force be with you.